Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Well, after all the hassles recently, I got up this morning and the sun's out and there's some blue sky, and you take a deep breath and you have your coffee, and then you think that's not enough and you have another coffee, etc. And you come out in your grow room and you just have a look round and you see stuff, blooms, and they make you happy. Well, they do me. You know, there's lots going on out here. There's me thinking we're in a state of disaster, and then you look around the world and see what real disasters are going on, and you think, actually life's not so bad, is it? Keep calm and grow orchids, they say. Yeah. Well, I still want to grow them as well as I can, and you know, I still look at damaged roots and get a bit miffed, but that's done. The damage is done. The damage is not repairable. It'll be replaced by new roots. It's not the end of the world. But they also say, when you're feeling a bit miffed or things are going wrong, buy a new orchid. Well, that's not what I went out for. I've been caught again. Never mind. What I went out for was some new feed. Never heard of this stuff. Never heard of it. But it's a kelp-based seaweed stimulant type fertiliser. I went through all the orchid fertilisers. In fact, in that garden centre, there were 17 individual types of fertilisers. Now, okay, most of them are chuck in your garden type thing or stick in your watering can and water your plants outside. But they had a whole shelf of specific orchid fertilisers. And every single one of them, without exception, was based on urea nitrogen. You know, it's not right. It's not what you're supposed to use. Okay, so we got this stuff. Now, in this stuff, we've got, you can see that, but basically it's got auxins. Now, my only contact with auxins is to do with my bonsai. And I'm aware that with bonsai, auxins live in the tips of the branches, because every branch on a tree wants to be the top of the tree. It wants to be the apex, and the only way it can grow to be the top of the tree is to suppress the buds and branches behind it. That's why you often take the tips out. So that's the only time I've ever heard of that. It's got some nitrogen in it. It doesn't say what sort, but I'll live with it because it's a kelp-based one and I've heard good stuff. It's got some phosphorus and some potassium, it's got some magnesium, it's got some calcium, it's got some other bits and bobs and all the trace elements. So that's going to do for now. That's a reasonably well balanced stuff with the bonus of having the kelp base, which I've heard very good stuff about. I mean, Brad swears by the blinking stuff. He reckons his plants have come on leaps and bounds since he switched to using that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to use for now. It's not going in RO water, it's going to go in filtered water. By filter, this is a activated carbon domestic filter to stop your kettle furring up, that sort of thing. But it will take out the stuff like the chlorine and the stuff that's in the tap water that I don't want in the orchids. What's left comes out at a TDS of about 130, 140. What those salts are is unknown. But when I add this stuff into that, I think I will have water that's usable. It's not going to roast my roots and it'll be fine. It's going to do for now. I'm still thinking, but it'll do for now. So new procedures for watering. It's going to take me a lot longer. That is a snail. Was, sorry, past tense. It was an ex-snail. I do get a few. It's impossible not to, but I keep on top of them. Okay, so new orchid. Only one. I was going to do an unwrapping ceremony, but I know what I'm like with a pair of scissors, a camera in one hand, and trying to do an orchid with the other. So it's been pre-unwrapped. It's a Cattleya. It's a no ID. It's gorgeous. It's a beauty. There is a very, very slight fragrance there. My mouth won't work. More coffee required. But it's not a bad plant. The leaves are slightly desiccated and feeling the weight of the plant. That's because it hasn't seen any water lately. But it was the only one that had a new growth out of the probably half a dozen there. I mean, you walk in the door there and the Phalaenopsis start, and you need your binoculars to see the other end of the benches where the Phalaenopsis end. It's so far away. But in amongst them were some Cattleyas. That was all, just Phalaenopsis and half a dozen Cattleyas. This is a pretty one. It's got a new growth, and it was also the only thing that swayed me to picking this up was that lot coming out of the base of the previous new growth. It's got good new roots. They're a little bit long to repot, but nonetheless it's going to come out of that pot, because I can see coconut stuff in there. It's coming out of the pot. But on this one, I'll wait till the flowers go over. It's a Cattleya, they're not going to last long, they never do. But it's got some roots, it's got some green root tips. It'll go into my nice media easily. It won't get set back, it'll push on nicely, and it's got one new growth coming, and I believe at the base of the flowering pseudo bulb there's a bulge. You see that little crack in the sheath? So chances are it's going to push out another new growth as well. So maybe this time next year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blooms on that bulb. If I can get 5 blooms on 2 leads next year, we'll have a nice plant. So, new plant. Moving on to new toys. This is what's currently in my hand. This is the camera I use. It's done me very well until I walked outside and tried to use it for one of the reasons I got it, which was to film our forest butterflies and our wild orchids and stuff like that. And the first time I tried it, you can't see a damn thing on the screen in the sunshine. It's crap. Sorry, not very good, my English. So I got a new toy. It looks exactly the same, doesn't it? There is one fundamental difference. It's got a viewfinder. So the light level will be irrelevant. I will be able to see what the hell I'm doing. Now this one has got much more memory in it. It's got a spare battery, which is not in there at the moment. And it has replaceable memory cards. It's also got the facility to roll. So it will use its internal memory, and if that becomes full, it'll just seamlessly roll onto one of the memory cards. And if that gets full as well, it'll roll on to the last memory card. And if you run out of all 3, then you probably needed to stop and take a break. So that's my replacement camera, new toy. It's second hand, it's got a few little tiny marks on the outside. But the guy said it was used for weddings on a tripod. And it was the transporting in and out of the car and stuff that put a few marks on the outside. Hasn't been used a great deal. It's a hell of a lot more expensive than the one that's in my hand, but for second hand it's pretty good. As soon as I get this up and running and make sure it's all okay and everything, then the one that's in my hand can be sold, and I'll get some of my money back that I put into that. So I'm pleased with that. I got a new toy, I got some new feed, I've got some coffee, and I've got a lovely new Cattleya. Life's not so bad after all, is it? Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you again next time. Bye to all the blooms. They'll still be there next time, I expect. Bye for now.